Today, it took a literal army and the National Guard to debunk Donald Trump's latest lies about the hurricane rescue efforts, lies that are increasing panic and risk among the people affected, and I have the story for you next. Donald Trump's continued attack on the hurricane rescue efforts, that is, turning the event into a political circus, has become its own disaster because misinformation puts people at even more risk. But something else is happening, something that he probably didn't think of. The lies also disrespect the people who are wearing the boots on the ground, workers and service members who have been there from the beginning and continue to bravely carry out the rescue efforts and provide the much-needed supplies and services. This is his latest disrespectful post on Truth Social, and on the other side, I'll have the rebuttal from the military representatives who are leading the rescue operations. The great people of North Carolina are being stood up by Harris and Biden, who are giving almost all of the FEMA money to illegal migrants in what is now considered to be the worst rescue operation in the history of the U.S. On top of that, billions of dollars is going to foreign countries. North Carolina has been virtually abandoned by Kamala. Drop her like she dropped you. Vote for President Donald J. Trump. MAGA 2024. Who says something like that in the middle of a disaster? Trump does, of course. Now let's fact-check his claim of the worst rescue operation in the history of the U.S. by listening to representatives of the Army and National Guard. These are leaders of the soldiers who are bravely upholding their duty and passionately leading the rescue operation. Coincidentally, they hosted this press conference shortly after Trump posted his latest version of the lie.
Today, it's my honor to be the dual status commander, and my role is to ensure unity of effort between our National Guard forces, which the administrator said have been here since before the storm, and now our active duty military forces that have come in to our assistance and to achieve unity of effort. Task Force Castle, which came right out of Fort Liberty here in North Carolina, arrived in Marion, North Carolina, and with probably 3 or 4 hours of sleep was conducting missions. They are on their third day of missions here in North Carolina doing route clearance and at the same time delivering those commodities that the administrator talked about to places that may not have had access to them before. But what they are finding is progress. They're finding that most places have most of the humanitarian assistance that they need, and in some cases they just needed assistance with donation management. So you have soldiers, both National Guard and active duty alike, helping organize the massive amount of donations from generous people from all across this nation. And at the same time, providing relief as we continue to push humanitarian assistance relief. The 101st soldiers from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and they are immediately assisting our FEMA partners with wide area searches to continue to make sure that we have located all individuals and also where we might need to deliver more supplies. Our partnership with the Department of Defense and this status is exactly why the dual status commander was invented after the response to Katrina so many years ago. It allows us to seamlessly integrate all components of the military, both National Guard and active, to achieve that unity of effort in our response to relieve the suffering of our fellow citizens here in Western North Carolina. And I'll be followed by the Commander of the United States Northern Command. Sir?
I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous amount of tireless work and effort by thousands of people and hundreds of organizations that are bringing aid to the citizens of North Carolina. As the Commander of U.S. NORTHCOM, we're honored to support the state, FEMA, and the dual status commander, Brigadier General Morrison, by providing active duty forces in a number of areas that can fall under his command and control, using the dual status commander role that comes from the President through the Secretary of Defense at the request of Governor Cooper, which allows him uniquely to command and control both state and federal forces at the same time. That will bring the citizens of North Carolina unity of effort and response, where we can provide the types of capabilities that are needed that will fall side by side with the North Carolina National Guard troops under his able and forward-thinking leadership. As General Morrison mentioned, the first wave of response has been helicopters from Fort Liberty, engineering battalion from Fort Liberty, and then also the infantry battalions that are coming in from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Additionally, we have some Navy helicopters that are working directly for Administrator Criswell and FEMA. And then we have some very capable search and rescue aircraft that are across the border in Tennessee at McGee-Tyson Air National Guard Base that are flying 10-hour sorties a day throughout western North Carolina, providing search and rescue, medevac, and landing to provide basic medical care and wellness checks throughout the region.
Obviously, Donald Trump is full of shit. But these lies and misinformation that he spews at every moment, they are far more damaging than just BS rhetoric. They undermine and compromise rescue efforts because they compete with or even mute the vital information that people need. Also, victims of any disaster need a measure of hope. If they hear the Trump lie that help is not available to them, despair and hopelessness can follow and put them at more or a different kind of risk. And as I've mentioned, Trump's lies are incredibly disrespectful to the FEMA workers and service members who have been working so hard to save lives and provide the much-needed supplies and services. It is incredibly selfish and divisive for Trump to turn this disaster into a political opportunity, but his pathological lies and his narcissistic negativity know no limits, and an opportunist he is. We can only hope that Americans who appreciate the efforts of FEMA and our military rise up and say no more to this awful display of disrespect.